Hello, friends. Welcome to A Little Room for Healing, where we aim to create a little more room in the world for authentic connection, insightful healing, and a deeper understanding of our hearts, ourselves, and each other through honest conversation. My name is Joel. I'm a Reiki and 13th Octave Laho Chi practitioner, a facilitator for deep healing, and your host. On this episode, I delve into people pleasing. I explore what I believe to be the underlying cause, fear, and how I work with it. I also share a story from last weekend and the realization I received while working with a heart opener in a crowd. Towards the end, I take the time to honor the opportunities we have every time we encounter discomfort. It is a gift that allows us to grow, so we may also be a gift. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Come on in. Hello, friends. I am back with another solo episode, and I also recognize that I am late in my delivery of this episode. I usually deliver it Thursday at midnight, which is actually Wednesday nights, Eastern Standard Time. But last night I hadn't recorded this yet, and I wasn't feeling too well, and I fell asleep. I passed out at 5:30 in the evening and woke up around 10:30 for a few hours, and then I fell back asleep until 10:30 in the morning, and I just wanted to sleep. I still kind of want to sleep. I'm nursing a headache, and that's one of the things that prevented me from putting this out. Before that, I was still debating on what I wanted to talk about. I like to wait until a topic really, really shines brightly in my system before I sit down and start discussing it or sharing about it. And I wasn't having one this week. But then in the last I was flirting with one around Tuesday, Wednesday, about people pleasing, because I was given a opportunity to look at my people pleasing again this week. And so that started standing out. And then last night when I thought, oh no, I haven't put out an episode yet, what will people think who are listening every week? And started to feel a little stressed that I needed to force myself to put out an episode to please the people that are listening. And such an interesting story in my head. And then I thought, you know what? I don't feel good, and I need to go to sleep. I need to sleep. So I passed out instead, and felt like it was better for me to take care of myself than to try to force an episode out there into the world. But here I am. It's Thursday afternoon, and I am going to talk a little bit about people pleasing and the things that have come up this week for me to be with it. And I think I'll start with a story that happened last weekend. I was at this festival, this weekend camping, arts, and some music, DJ music festival called Burning Man. I don't do well at meeting people in crowds like that. And I've been learning a lot about why. There is social anxiety in me that attributes to not being able to meet people and there was only like 200 people tops there, if that. Some of those nights, people out dancing around the fire and walking by, and I just can't bring myself to go up and talk to anybody. And a lot of it there is some that has to do with social anxiety, and there's some that has to do with what I'm learning about my human design and being a manifester in human design, that I have a closed aura, so that there's this repelling energy that happens with me. So that energy alone right there is already filtering out people who are meant for me and who aren't. And then on top of that, something I learned on that Saturday from my friend Robin, who I've done many podcasts with, is that 70% of my aura, my sun, is in this is what in a category called conflict friction or friction conflict. And that means that I am very particular about the people I let into my sphere. Very particular. And that is so true. I am so particular about people that I let into my sphere. So that hit me hard that day. And I was thinking, oh man, with the combo of that and the aura, the closed aura and the social anxiety, it's a wonder I meet anybody at all. It is a wonder I meet anybody at all. And I was sitting with that night. I had actually did a heart opener. I worked with a heart opener that Saturday night in the crowd, and was sitting with this idea, this intention of being changing my relationship to being alone in a crowd, and feeling all of the tightness and the anxiety and frustration of not being able to meet people and anger of not being able to meet people. As the night went on, I was just allowing this feeling and acceptance to happen of, okay, this is just how I'm set up. I have a very particular, I am very particular about who I let in. I have a closed aura, and there's some social anxiety. I just have to accept that. That is my lot in life. That's where I am. And as I was allowing these things to be in my system, a really cool thing happened. And it happened when I went to a porta potty to go to the bathroom. And this particular thing that had happened while going to the bathroom, because I have such a difficult relationship with I've had difficult relationships with the bathroom in the past, and I have attributed a lot of my difficulty in meeting people, especially in this particular microcosm of what I'm about to say, was meeting someone in a romantic way. Whenever I go to these things, I'm always on a lookout for a romantic partner. It's just how I am. But the bathroom has been such a symbol for me of, because of my urethra situation that I had, a symbol for anxiety about that and trauma and all that stuff. So I'm going to the bathroom and I'm peeing in this porta potty. And as I'm peeing, it hits me like a ton of bricks. Having explored this new particularity and closed aura, I go, oh my goodness, I keep searching. I am like searching and looking for someone to connect with. And I'm almost stepping over myself in doing that. There's like this neediness, this grasping and reaching that I'm doing. And I'm stepping over myself in this process because I'm not honoring this natural selectiveness that I have and this natural closed offness that I have. And when that occurred to me, the realization hit me that the woman who is for me is going to slice right through all of that, the closed aura and the particularity. She's just going to slice right through and be like, boom, here I am. And something about that gave me so much comfort and confidence. And I just started laughing, and I went out and told my friends who were with me this discovery I just created or came upon. And right before I was about to tell them, it also hit me that these things make me sexy. And I got super grounded and owned the sexiness, this innate sexiness of being particular and having that protective aura that's filtering people, and thinking, whoa, when I honor that, I am super sexy. And when I don't, I'm really needy and clingy and scanning and looking. And suddenly these people that I had already like begun to create very microcosmic stories about, I no longer was interested in, because that neediness was gone, and I was suddenly like, oh no, you have to earn, this person that I am. You have to earn that desire. And the person that's going to do that is going to slice right through and say, hey, here I am. Like, now we can mutually dance in the, is this a desire thing? Is this a connection thing or not? So I found that to be quite amazing. And it relates to people pleasing, because I so often in my relationships in the past would step over myself and lose myself. And I've said this before, to people please, to just give the person what they want, to bend to what their desire is, instead of really checking in and being with what is true to me in the relationship, and building those boundaries and creating those boundaries, and standing by them and saying, no, this is who I am and this is what I need, and this is the place that I will not budge. As long as I to the point where I'm building the boundaries in a healthy way, knowing that these are my healthy boundaries that I will not budge in. And then I got home, and earlier this week on Monday, I was working with somebody asked me a question. A person asked something of me that my initial response in my system was, no, that doesn't feel right. But on the phone call with them, I couldn't just say no right away, because my people pleasing came up. And I actually started to allude to the idea that I was going to give them the thing that they asked for. And it didn't feel good. And then finally we left the conversation with me taking time to think about it and mull it over and sit with it for a little bit. And as I sat with it, I was like, no, the intention of the thing that they want me to give them, the intention of me creating that was not to just give it away like that, or sell it in a way that didn't feel connected to the purpose of this thing that I made. And so I started getting this, I got angry about it, and I started getting this opportunity to set a boundary about an offering of mine and a policy of mine. And it was the first time that I really was put in this position regarding this thing. And it took me on this journey of people pleasing, and the feeling and what's going on in my system when I'm wanting to people please, what's happening in there. And what is occurring is there is this inner child in me who is afraid. He's so afraid that if he doesn't adhere to what someone asks for, what someone wants, especially if it's coming from a place that doesn't feel in integrity or grounded, then he gets scared that if he says no, he's going to be served with retaliation, whether it be name calling or anger or manipulation that comes back at him, or if it's some sort of gossiping about him aside, like making up stories about him or saying or tarnishing his name, or just not being liked. And there's a real fear in all of that in this little kid. So he reverts to, oh, I need to people please. And that's like, and he takes control of adult Joel. I need to feel safe, so I need to people please. We need to people please this person and give them what they want, or else we're going to be attacked. I've taken this opportunity now to sit and be with this part and offer him a place to share his needs and his fears in a held way so that together we can set our boundaries and say no when we need to say no to something. I haven't quite gotten there yet, but also what I'm learning is to help him and myself, to help him. I think I know, but I'm letting him in control, to help him be able to know the difference between somebody not liking what I do and what I say and my boundary and not liking me. And there is that difference there. Somebody can not like my boundary and still like me. And also, when someone doesn't like my boundary, that is not, it's no longer, it's out of my hands to help, to help them fix that. That's a place where they have to do their work and their examination of, why am I angry about this boundary being set? Why am I angry about not getting what I want? Why am I not just able to bounce off that boundary and say, okay, thank you? And I don't even know if, and that's, I don't even know if this particular situation I'm talking about, if that's the response I'm going to get. I actually haven't said no to this person yet. But there are cases when that happens. There are cases where people are really respectful. Like, okay, cool, thanks. I'll find it some other way. So this little kid in me is in need of a listening ear and a holding so that he can learn that he's safe, which he apparently still, he still hasn't learned fully. He still hasn't learned fully. I do give myself credit because I was in the awareness of the people pleasing right away, and I'm able to be with it and sit with it in a whole new, like, in the process of it happening instead of afterwards and feeling shame and anger that I let it happen again. So there is movement. And now I'm at the point where I can actually sit and be with this little one who has so much fear. And I can listen to him about why he has fear and where it came from. And in that conversation, learn what he needs in order to have that fear be held. In this case, the image that keeps coming up to me when I think of the people pleasing is me as a kid needing to be the perfect Christian boy and not do anything wrong to make sure that I hold up the reputation of my family in the church and also a representative of the church, because my family was so known in the church with their roles. And also there's a codependent thing that I'm feeling in there. There's a codependent thing with my parents where I felt I somewhere along the line learned that I was responsible for their emotions and them feeling comfortable and them feeling safe and steady and regulated. And if I did something off that caused their dysregulation, then I would get like I would get some kind of scolding. And that would be that. So it's hard for me to talk fully about my relationship with my parents on the podcast. I just want to say, I know that I talk so freely about so many things, but I still feel myself not wanting to share too much about my relationship with them because of protection. And that's still something I'm working on. And a lot of my people pleasing comes from not being able to set boundaries with them and feeling the tightness and contraction around that and the fear around setting boundaries in that particular arena. So that glaringly for all of us here that are listening is definitely the place that needs to be examined and looked at for my little one to feel safe and for me to be able to confidently set boundaries for people. For myself, I mean, set boundaries for myself and stand by them and be confident in them and trust that I am safe when my boundaries are set, even when my boundaries are not being respected, and then I can uh, stand by them and articulate better, more clearly, hopefully, what those boundaries are when they are not being respected. I'm especially susceptible to manipulation, especially if manipulation comes at me in the form of anger. Man, that's really intense for me. Super sensitive in here regarding anger and being told that I'm doing something wrong. Whew. So it's been a really interesting journey with people pleasing this week. I'm really glad that it's come up. I'm starting to move into it because I'm moving into a place where I need to have boundaries. Well, we are always in a place where we need boundaries, but I'm moving into a stage in my life where I'm starting to take more responsibility in what I'm offering and what I'm doing in the world, and boundaries and policies have to be very strong around that. Not to say that they can't shift as I learn new things, but they have to be steady. And so I'm getting that opportunity to grow with that. Now, that's another thing I wanted to say about boundaries and discomfort and opportunities to grow. And I'm sure you've all heard this before, but it never hurts to repeat it. Every time you come across discomfort, every time one comes across discomfort, that is an opportunity to examine, to grow, to learn, to find the root, to hold the place in you, whether it be inner child or quite often it is the inner child that needs something to feel safe. And safety to me is usually the most bottom thing that happens. Fear. Most of what we do and we react to in discomfort is because somewhere in there's a part of us that is afraid. And if we can make our way to that part and find the space to hold or be with them, then we can begin to hold that fear. We can begin to soothe it and allow it to move and let it express so that it doesn't feel like it is gasping and scratching and scraping for life anymore. It is being redistributed and moved through the system. This stuck fear that we have gets back into the system and moves throughout, and then it reintegrates with all the other energy that's moving through our system in a very natural, healthy way. And when that happens, those moments of discomfort that cause that fear to trigger and those responses to trigger will lessen and lessen and lessen because we're holding it in a different way and we are approaching it in a different way. Because we understand what's going on in our systems. And so my invitation is that whenever a moment of discomfort shows up, see if you can take a moment to just acknowledge that this is an opportunity to learn something, to help a part of you. And you may not be able to do it in the moment with the discomfort, but when you have the time and space post discomfort, the moment, post the moment that's discomforting, start asking questions to your system, to your body, and listen and see what answers come back. It's really just a matter of taking a moment in quiet and saying, okay, body, okay, system, we had a moment of discomfort. We had a moment of tension, of constriction, of friction. I am opening myself up to any answers that might be wanting to come through right now, of where that's coming from or why that it was happening. And then you listen. And it might be words that you hear. It might be a vision, a memory of something that happened in the past. There may be a physical thing that happens. There may be a somatic thing, some ache or pain in a part of your body. And then you just follow these trails and you pay attention to them and you allow them to feel, express, talk. And this is the process over and over again to getting to the core, the foundation of where this discomfort is taking place. And ultimately, we hold it. We hold those spots. And we let them know that we're there for them. And in my case, that's when the people pleasing lessens. It softens, and the fear around retaliation is integrated in my system, and I'm able to give my boundaried answer quicker and more confidently and with more care, and also to be able to receive that their reaction to it has nothing to do with me. Their reaction to it is because they're meeting a place of discomfort and they have a part of them that needs some holding and some care and some attention. And it's their opportunity to find that too. And if I can have the compassion for that, it could very much help them to find it. And it would also helps me feel more safe because I have compassion for the knowing that they're getting an opportunity too. We're constantly falling into moments of opportunity to grow, heal, connect. And when we start looking at the world that way, it shifts. It really shifts, and it becomes, for me, as I do that, it becomes more. It becomes the word that's coming is a gift. It becomes a gift. This life. That's where the gift is. How we are continuously shown opportunities to connect more with who we are, to connect more with what we need so that we can fully embody our higher selves. And that is when the shifts happen that we create in the world. That's when our energy shifts and our energy rises. And then it pulses out and it helps the ones that come in contact with us to raise their energy. That sounds so much better than people pleasing, doesn't it? It really does. Such an opportunity. Okay. Wow, that feels really good. Thank you so much again for listening.
and for allowing me to go down this process. I know that I said that last week that I was going to possibly do an interview with someone this week. I'm hoping to next week. Again, don't hold me to it, because life keeps moving and shifting, and I'm rolling with what wants to come out, what wants to happen with these podcasts. I would very much love to hear from any of you. So you can, if you feel inclined to drop a message or a note about how these episodes are feeling or hitting with you, I would so much love to hear that. You can contact me. You can contact me on Instagram at A Little Room for Healing, or my email is joel@alittleroomforhealing.com. And we can also set up some time to work together at alittleroomforhealing.com on my website. I do distance energy healing stuff, and also with processing, so we can talk and connect and see what kind of things are going on that might need movement, care, attention, love. Okay. Well, I invite you all to make a little room for healing in your lives, and I will see you next time.
Thanks for making a little room for my podcast. I'd love to be a part of your journey too. Follow me on Instagram at A Little Room for Healing for news, updates, offerings, and connection. To book a session with me, go to www.alittleroomforhealing.com. If you'd like to support the podcast, follow the link at the bottom of the episode description. Have a beautiful day.